I am not a man. I am not a woman. I am God.
Then I'm Miss America, and while I'm sitting here waiting to be crowned the rightful queen, God, aka Nature Boy, is serving out a life sentence in a very humid Georgia prison. Nature Boy, aka Eligio Bishop, is the parasitic poster child of master manipulators and raging narcissists everywhere. His shocking trial revealed the horrifying reality behind his holistic teachings, with former members recounting tales of rape, false imprisonment, forced polygamy, and revenge porn. Carbonation began as melenation and was a Black counterculture community that promoted environmental and social enlightenment. But under the directive of Bishop's colossal ego, it rapidly morphed into a chaotic sex cult 10 times more twisted than Auntie Anne in a yoga class. But what goes up eventually comes down. And in February of 2024, Newton's Law sent Nature Boy's overinflated God complex on a rough and tough tumble down Humble Mountain. It is a breath of fresh air when the justice system actually works in favor of public safety. The rise and fall of Carbonation is a cautionary tale of charisma turned corrupt, and how you can spot a wolf in tree hugger's clothing, or in this case, the lack thereof. So grab your best sense of humor and get real comfy. I am a huge fan of diversifying my clusterfuck portfolio, and trust me, I've seen a lot of shit. But the story today had me scaling the tallest peak of Shitfuck Mountain, and you're scaling it next. Take whatever expectation you might have for human decency and lower it. Now grab a shovel and start digging. Eligio Bishop is both Lord of the Dingleberries and the human equivalent of a wet band-aid. He's the type of guy that believes in a lot of things, but being called by his government name is certainly not one of them. He'd rather be called Nature Boy, Three God, the Three God, the Second Coming of Christ, the Messiah, and if you're one of his loyal disciples, you'll address him as my king or pay a very painful price. And trust me, he's a diehard believer in making everyone pay. Before Eligio launched this Nature Boy era, he lived a rather semi-charmed life as a barber, sex worker, and exotic dancer. All of those careers required a lot more actual work on his end than he was willing to do. So he switched to the easiest career path he could think of, becoming an entrepreneur. Or should I say, entrepreneur, because this is when he picked up a giant shit hose and started spraying. The long arm of the law and Nature Boy have quite the history, dating way back to 2013 when he was arrested in the state of Georgia on a battery charge. Infuriating and concerning, no doubt, but child's play compared to what this bag of fuck nuggets managed to accomplish in multiple foreign countries. He settled in Costa Rica and started a group known as Melenation, which would eventually become Carbonation. Initially, he paid the bills of his carefree island lifestyle by selling life coaching tapes and music videos online, and encouraged donations with a classy-ass tagline: don't hate, donate. Short and sweet, right to the point. It's unclear exactly when it happened, but somewhere along the way, Carbonation became a cult, and those once voluntary donations became a requirement. In order to be deemed worthy of receiving his teachings, potential members had to sign over financial information to him, including bank accounts, credit cards, and any PINs or security numbers, which magically unlocked access to his perceived wisdom. Joke's on him, because I don't remember any of my passwords, much less all of them. Luckily, I don't even have to try, because today's sponsor, Aura, logs them and protects them for me. I mean, it's honestly a no-brainer for someone like me who's so scatterbrained, and it's a billion times safer in their care than it ever was floating around in my notes app. This past week, I got a letter from Ticketmaster saying that thanks to some dirty little hackers, me and 500 million other people had our personal passwords and information leaked to God knows who, what, and where. Would this have normally ruined my entire day and possibly even my week? Who's to say? Well, it didn't this time, because Aura alerted me weeks ago, prompted me to change my passwords, and stored those babies far, far away from any grimy little hacker hands in the future. Is it dramatic to say that Aura protects and looks out for me more than either of my parental units ever did? I should probably save that conversation for my therapist. Anyway, it's the perfect time to sign up for therapy and for Aura. So head over to aura.com/cultureshock and try your first 2 weeks for free. You're doing future you a giant favor. Once you're inside Carbonation, Carbonation is gonna get inside of you big time. Members follow a bizarre range of unconventional beliefs, including polygamy, nudism, and only consuming foods that follow a strict vegan diet. Now, before you throw tomatoes at me, I'm not judging any of those lifestyle choices. As long as it's consensual, ethical, and non-coercive, to each their own. That being said, old naked nature boy came up with some rancid rules for members, like dropping their daily defecation at the base of a tree trunk, and forbidding them to bathe their sunburnt dingleberries in anything besides plain water.
Why? Why?
Funky ass. Members slept outside in tents and participated in various degrees of manual labor per Bishop's instructions. Can we please talk about something? Like how they were all freeballing 24/7, working out in that Costa Rica hot ass sun, shitting on trees, doing whoever, whenever, however they want, and not even washing those funky, musty birthday suits or their hands before peeling an orange to feed their kids.
Oh my God!
You got me all the way fucked up. The Nature Boy rancid reign finally ended when he got carbonation kicked out of Costa Rica. Yes, you do have to be a giant fucking twat waffle to get you and all of your friends kicked out of an entire country. But just like a colostomy, he had that shit in the bag. Eligio is a proud citizen of the United States of debauchery and is known among his teammates for being a bit of an overachiever in the douche canoe Olympics. He rowed his way smack dab to the top of the Fed's radar, making quite the splash. And that landed him on international wanted lists for heinous crimes like pedophilia and sexual abuse. Out of all of the truly despicable things that Bishop has said and done, this one ranks pretty fucking high on the shit list because, trigger warning, it directly involves children. You can do what I did and upchuck in the fuck it bucket. Or you can tuck and roll off of this shit wagon for at least the next 90 seconds. Either way, it's a truly unfortunate day to have ears that hear. So for the love of God, choose wisely.
A few moments later.
You know what you're really gonna miss? Being blissfully ignorant. In 2017, Bishop released a nasty ass video admitting to many nauseating things that he believes and demonstrates to his followers.
I'm naked with my kids. I have sex in front of my kids.
See where this is going? He thinks adults have the right to not only be naked around kids, but to bump their unwashed uglies together in front of innocent children. He believes children should be allowed to interact with adult genitalia and describes it as being natural and pure. He admits to getting freaky with his wife as she continues to breastfeed their child and allows their son to play with his pocket pistol right after getting it in and on with his mom.
I'll never be ashamed of sex. My son be breastfeeding and I'll be making love to his mama. That's me, bruh. That's how I get down around kids. I try to keep their purity. I don't want to take their purity away by covering myself up. They're going to be ashamed and cover themselves up. And I'm pure at heart. So you can think in your mind, if I let another kid here, I'm going to have to change the way I am so that your kid could be comfortable around me. No, I'm going to be naked as fuck in front of your kids. My son comes up and grabs my penis. I let him grab my penis. I had sex with his mom. I'm making love to his mother. After I'm done, I'm laying there chilling. He grabbed my penis. And he's playing with my penis. I let that happen.
Disassociating, ears bleeding, screaming silently into the void. I'm back like a spinal tap, so tap a thumbs up and listen up. Life is a game of give and take, and I love giving you these clusterfucks of a story. So please take a moment and support the channel and my mental health by picking up an extra soft Live Laugh Leave a Cult t-shirt. And if you've ever wanted to subtly scream that you're not falling for anyone's bullshit for any reason in any season, perfect timing because fall is almost here and you can get ready for it with an all due disrespect hoodie. But honestly, my day is made no matter what you order. Anyway, grab your sacrilegious shit waiters and get ready for what's next. We're returning to Dumbfuck Island, where right now it's partly cloudy, with a 100% chance of a sociopathic shit tsunami, and that's hitting right about now. The same year he released that unfortunate video, a family in Canada reported their 21-year-old daughter missing. It took several scary days and going public with their search, but Kayla Reed was eventually spotted with Eligio in Costa Rica. According to her family, she had been groomed and brainwashed by Nature Boy himself, who had convinced her to abandon all of them to be part of Carbonation. During a call with Kayla, known in the group as Sunray, the family heard his voice in the background, coaching her on what to say and insisting that Carbon Nation was her actual family, not, her parents on the other line. Now, here's a real temple tapper for you. As previously stated, melenation/Carbon Nation was originally established as a Black counterculture movement by the Black community for the Black community. Yet our girl Kayla appears to be a caucus compadre in a saltine sorority, a sour cream citizen, if you will. Interestingly, a core belief inside the group is that the sun manifested itself into human form in order to create Black women, which Nature Boy deems the archetype. Stay with me. Anyone created outside of that color are people who have strayed from their rightful path. According to Dingleberry Bishop, Kayla Reed is someone who had a mutation in her quote-unquote hardware. Direct quote, "This hardware is a mutation hardware from the archetype. Hardware that are lower self with the consciousness, the software of the higher self." I mean, it takes a true vegan to whip up a word salad like that. According to some sources, Bishop was only using Kayla as a rebuttal to racist allegations, and when her story hit headlines, he wasted absolutely no time going on defense. In a video, he said, "They're trying to depict me in the media, as they always do when they are trying to kill someone, as someone that is dangerous, someone that has stolen their white daughter and controlling her mind. If they can get people to believe that I'm holding Sunray against her will, and that I'm a cult member, and I'm a dangerous Black man, then they can come kill me and be the hero like they did all of those countries that they've invaded. That's what the media does." He's not entirely wrong about that last part, but it turns out he's also very dangerous. So there is that. Kayla left Costa Rica, but Carbon Nation wasn't that far behind. In the fall of 2017, the entire group had to actually put on clothes and were forced to leave the country amidst charges of endangering and threatening national security. But members ended up causing quite a stink when they were being deported out of Costa Rica. Spirit Airlines actually refused to deport 5 of the members and wouldn't let them on the aircraft due to the overwhelming body odor. Because, they fuck in the woods, shit on the trees, and refuse to wash their groupie goodies. Y'all know it had to be pretty bad because the flight was headed to Miami, Florida. The city that smells like a sticky high school gym bag that's been left for 2 weeks in a humid locker room. Regardless, smelling like Teen Spirit is against Spirit's zero funk policy. And that made Nature Boy absolutely livid. He posted on social media claiming members were being racially discriminated against by the airline because the members that had lived in the jungle, quote, hadn't eaten anything smelly recently. This is actually a classic case of funk around and find out. After getting the Costa Rica boot, he attempted to relocate the group in Nicaragua, but the country had already agreed that Carbon Nation could and should fuck all of the way off. They were sent packing to Panama, but Panama said, "Panama." In June of 2020, Bishop and 19 of his most dedicated headed to perhaps our least funky of all 50 states, Hawaii. If you need a refresher, summer of 2020 was prime time pandemic pandemonium. Granted, if you have to wait out a deadly disease, isolating on a tropical island really seems like the way to go. But like most of the nation, Hawaii had rules, and rules never quite set right with him, unless he's the one making them. At the time, state law required all travelers to sign a 14-day quarantine agreement upon island arrival. All members of Carbon Nation quickly and willingly signed that, knowing full fucking well they were about to break it. The Dingleberry boy spent some of his very short-lived island time adding a double scoop of hypocrisy to Carbon Nation's Nature First mission. He fucked around and found out real fast that petting a sea turtle, a highly protected species, is pretty darn tootin' illegal. That's right, he broke one law so he could break another law, all while leading a cult that's supposed to be rooted in respecting Mother Nature. Ain't that some shit? Within hours of landing in Hawaii, they landed an unpaid vacation behind Hawaiian bars. We love a double whammy and a tropical slammy. Nature Boy doubled down on that 100% avoidable staycation when he announced that he actually couldn't afford the $4,000 bail. That must have been pretty embarrassing to totally blank on all of his followers' pins and passwords. In 2022, some messy shit hit the proverbial fan when a former member went to the police with colossal claims, which would end up blowing the entire top off of this topless cult. According to a police statement, this unnamed victim left the group days prior after getting the ever-loving shit beat out of her by other members. Her offense? Making a face at him. Yeah, the fragility of this man's masculinity is truly astounding. After being verbally and physically assaulted by the other members, the victim packed up her things and attempted to leave. But Bishop said the least she could do was tell him goodbye. Instead of saying goodbye, he refused to let her leave, saying she belonged to him and was his bitch. Then he forced himself on her despite her repeatedly telling him no. Later, when everyone in the house fell asleep, she was finally able to sneak out to safety. But it couldn't possibly end there, could it? No. Refusing him was refusing God. This guy carries more chips on his shoulder than Frito-Lay. He simply couldn't and wouldn't be happy until his Himalayan salty ass poured more salt on this woman's wounds. Himalayan, get it? Lion? He's laying and lying. In the following days after the violent attack and rape of this woman, Eligio posted revenge porn videos of the victim online as retaliation for leaving. Little did he know that this badass woman possessed more balls than a bowling alley. The cops knocked his door down like a juiced up Jehovah's Witness. They arrested and later indicted him on 5 separate counts of felony charges, including rape and false imprisonment. He had the right to remain silent, but certainly not the ability. In a police interview, this bag of fuck nuggets said, "Raping who? I wouldn't rape anyone. I have all of these women. Why would I rape someone? I have 5 women. Why would I rape a girl? I'm a ladies' man." With all due disrespect, you're a rapist. That's why you raped them. During the trial, more victims and former members came forward with equally horrific allegations, confirming that he wasn't just a clown, he was the entire circus.
Velvet Marquez tells me Eligio Bishop forced her to marry him. Why? She says that he'd tell her that she'd then be forced to bail him out of jail.
I feel that now looking back, I feel that I fell in love with an idea because he pretended to be someone that he wasn't. He literally held me hostage. He took all of my identification, my passport, my birth certificate, my social, my bank cards, everything. I was forced to engage in sexual activity that I did not want to do. I was still strangled on multiple occasions. So I had to willingly engage in these sexual activities because of to keep myself safe.
She had their daughter in 2019, and a year and a half later, she says he forced her to legally marry him in a Las Vegas chapel. Velvet says Bishop lived off of other members' PPP loans and life savings. She gave him her $3,000 college fund, while others gave tens of thousands of dollars.
Erica Carroll was one of the original members when the group was known as Melenation, and she claimed one member handed over $300,000 to Eligio, and another member gave him a plot of land. She also witnessed Bishop brutally assault one of his many girlfriends, saying,
"He slapped her up and punched her a couple of times, and then he told her to go in the tent and give him oral sex. He always said that he wanted like a lot of wives, like he want 10 wives.
Leaving Carbon Nation meant wounding Eligio's very, very fragile ego. And bruising his ego was a goddamn guarantee that they would be subjecting themselves to a character-bashing campaign led by Bobblehead Bishop himself. According to many victims and witnesses, female members were not allowed to wear shirts, so a lot of them started wearing titty leaves, like the OG Eves of Eden. And of course, all female members were forced to have sex with fuckboy Bishop. Another victim testified that on one occasion, she forgot to address him as my king. So Bishop forced her to do a metric fuck ton of squats, told his wife to leave the room, and would ultimately rape the victim. Cult expert Rick Allen Ross was consulted by the FBI during the Branch Davidian siege in Waco, Texas, and has been very outspoken regarding the cult of Carbon Nation. According to Ross, and I used creative liberties with this paraphrase, the dangerous cult shoe fits the Carbon Nation foot like a snug little pair of Cinderella slippers. Nature Boy isn't exactly sure how he feels about being called a cult and a cult leader. He could deny or brag about it, depending on the day. He once told the Associated Press, quote, "The first time I heard that, I thought, it was kind of cool. Me, a black man, a cult leader? I'm from the hood." That actually could explain all of the figurative hood he's been winking. During the trial, Bishop behaved precisely as you might expect a raging narcissist to behave. From firing his representation and refusing to show up in court, to laughing during victim impact statements and turning down a very generous 30-year plea deal. That little hokey pokey move turned itself all the way around and bit him directly on the dick. When you play stupid games, you're gonna win stupid prizes. And he really brought home home the judicial jackpot. He was found guilty on all 5 counts, sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And that's what the hokey pokey is all about. Bishop showed absolutely no remorse during the trial, and the presiding judge told him, "You're a master manipulator and probably the classic definition of a narcissist." Bishop made an attempt at a rather simpleton statement, informing everyone that he wasn't upset and kept repeating, "I forgive you and I still love you," to the victims.
Feather, I promise you I love you when I'm still here. I ain't miss one lick. I see what y'all doing, and I want you to know, I forgive you.
I beg your finest, most extravagant pardon, you smug pile of saucy shit. Our expectations for him were already low, yet he's somehow exceeding them. Ta-da! We should take a moment to give full and complete credit to Eligio, and Eligio only, for single-handedly turning Carbon Nation into his own incarceration. Well done. Great work. He'll spend the rest of his life pondering prison riots instead of vegan diets, and being slightly less smelly since he's bunked with a celly. Since his move to the Island of Corrections, Nature Boy has managed to expand his collection of felonies instead of expanding his brain. He's kept that room temperature IQ real busy. One of his seriously consequential side quests required a couple of his wives using a drone to fly contraband across the prison yard. They learned a valuable lesson about trying to be inconspicuous when droning contraband to a prison yard while sitting in your car that's idling in the prison parking lot. I feel like you have to work hard to be that stupid. Despite a conviction, Eligio still has die-hard followers in his charismatic corner. I popped into the group's social media pages just long enough to confirm that someone is really working overtime to keep Nature Boy's name alive. I can't poke too much fun at any of the followers or members because I've been on that side of things, and for their sake, I really hope that that Nature Boy fog is eventually lifted. For every Eligio Bishop that's rightfully convicted, there's 100 more out there right now taking advantage without consequence. The best way we can protect ourselves and each other from these types of Nature Boys within all of our communities is through providing education, awareness, and support systems. And not to toot my own horn, but this podcast is a pretty good place to start. Don't miss all of my other episodes on crazy cults, including modern day cults that are still active right now, like the Demon Slayer cult and the Twin Flames universe. Stay skeptical and stay curious, because at the end of the day, it's better to be a skeptic than a sucker. So until next time, live, laugh, and leave a cult.